Gremlins is a sort of a gremlin and his boys story. It's a picture about something that probably could never happen in real life, but we kind of wish parts of this movie would happen to us, and other parts of this movie we hope will never happen to us. And it certainly is not a horror film. It's also not a spoof on a genre.
Horror comedies weren't new in 1984, but Gremlins helped shape the subgenre by striking a balance between horror and comedy in a way that few films had done before it.
Mom?
Billy, we're...
Although the violence didn't set well with everyone at the time, Gremlins was successful in achieving a specific tone that allowed the film to strike a balance of being popular with the masses, as well as genre fans even to this day. The genesis of the film came from Chris Columbus while he was still a student at New York Film School. Gremlins was more of a writing sample for Columbus, and not something he'd ever planned on being produced. The script eventually fell into Spielberg's hands, and he decided to purchase it.
It's one of the most original things I've come across in many years, which is why I bought it and gave it to Joe to make into a movie.
What I like in movies especially is things that you are movies that do things that you can't do in real life, and show you things that you can't see just by walking out in the street.
Spielberg wanted to make the film more audience-friendly while maintaining its satirical edge.
Jesus, Frank, that's Dave Myers. He does Santa every year.
Chris Columbus originally wrote the film to be a hard R.
Chris's original concept of this film is much more horrific and
I
less...
remember, reading that, the scene of Billy coming home and his mother's head rolling down the stairs.
Yes, there was that. They also ate the dog, and it was pretty gruesome.
Another major contribution Spielberg made to the film was the decision to keep Gizmo from turning into Stripe.
Rather late in the game, Steven decided, obviously correctly, but nonetheless terrifyingly, that Gizmo was really cute and he shouldn't turn into anything bad. He should always be around for the whole movie and be Billy's pal. The problem was that he hadn't really been engineered to do a lot of the things that he was now going to be called upon to do. And so, since this happened so late in the game, we found ourselves kind of scrambling while we were shooting to invent ways of puppeteering Gizmo so that he would, be able to look, moderately convincing. But we had to realize that because Gizmo was pretty cute, and the audience really was going to like him, it was going to make the movie much more satisfying to have him stick around.
Once the film was completed, Dante was happy with what they had created, but he wasn't quite sure how audiences would react. Producer Michael Fennell says that during the first preview screening of the movie, the theater went crazy. That's when he and Dante knew they had a hit. Gremlins was an overnight success, and although Ghostbusters opened the same weekend and beat Gremlins at the box office, Gremlins actually managed to gross even more money the second weekend than the first, a feat few films have ever accomplished. While the film only cost $11 million to produce, it went on to gross over $140 million at the box office. The film received mostly positive reviews, but did draw criticism for several of its more violent scenes, as well as the infamous Phoebe Cates monologue.
He was dressed in a Santa Claus suit. He'd been climbing down the chimney on Christmas Eve, his arms loaded with presents. He was going to surprise us. He slipped and broke his neck, died instantly.
Due to the nature of the marketing campaign and the emphasis on Spielberg's involvement, some audience members were expecting another film like E.T. with light horror elements. Although the film is much tamer than the original script, Gremlins, along with Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, were responsible for the creation of the PG-13 rating.
A lot of unhappiness about this and that picture getting a PG.
Yes, there was no such thing as PG-13 at this time. It was either PG or R. And,
that nose blow would have gotten an R just on its own.
When this movie came out, people realized there needed to be something in the middle.
Gremlins' impact on pop culture is still felt today, and remake talks have been going on for years. Let's just hope that if anyone does end up remaking Gremlins, that their team has as much passion and talent as everyone who worked on and made Gremlins a cult classic.